Many years ago, me and my cousin found a Ouija board. We carried it to our treehouse in the eastern part of the woods and decided to play a game. For those of you that do not use magic, there is one simple rule to remember. When you open a gateway or a line of communication, you close that line or gate when you are done. If you fail to do so, dreadful things can happen. Dangerous and deadly things. Out of the league of two young boys. Something we did not understand but would soon find out. Before long we found a spirit to communicate with. Her name was Bella. She seemed nice but was in fact a demon. We had no idea the chaos she would cause. She took an immediate interest in my cousin Donald. In fact, she ignored all I had to say. But it did not end with that. She would invade his dreams, call his name at night, and show herself only to him. Both became obsessed with each other, and his dreams would soon take a bloodier turn. The closest of friends, we soon drifted apart, and he laid claim to our clubhouse. Not only did he abandon our friendship, but his attitude became darker. Drugs, fights, and skipping school. He would not listen to anyone anymore. The only voice he heard was Bella's. All this happened in a total of 5 years. A few years after that, his life would come to an end. You see, he stole from the wrong people, and they found out. An example had been made, and that example was Donald. It was hard to recognize him at his funeral because they messed him up so bad. And this was all caused by Bella. We were 9 years old when we summoned the demon, which was 10 years ago. I had not returned to that clubhouse since me and my cousin had our last fight. It is hard to find things about spirits, especially how to banish them from this world. But I found someone who may help. Penny was a pagan and followed the Nordic goddess Hel, queen of the void, a powerful being from legend, and a ruler of the Norse afterlife. I told her about our mistake while using a Ouija board, and how I did not know how to send the spirit back. She assured me she can help, but it would have to wait till after the next full moon. She'd also need a lock of my hair, too. This was out of my league, but if I could stop Bella, it would be worth a try. After all, she was willing to help me, and that is something hard to find. It was a long month waiting in anticipation, and wondering what kind of mayhem the demon had unleashed in the decade it was free. I would soon get my answer, and find out just how difficult it would be to trap her. She had blessed a necklace, but Penny called it a talisman, an item created to contain spiritual energy. But the spirit only got stronger since its release. She would not go peacefully. I knew where the treehouse was by heart. What I saw of it now was horrible. Strong oak trees held the structure up. Now they were black and dead. In fact, the plants were black, and a smell of rot came from the clubhouse. It was covered in thick poison ivy vines, hairy, and not one to be touched. It was like the demon corrupted the forest near her. Dead animals littered the ground, their faces twisted with fear and pain. Penny shuddered as she held my hand, trapping the talisman in between. I was the key to the whole thing, she told me. Believe in myself. Do not let the demon cause me any doubt. If I showed doubt, both of our souls would be forfeit. Tonight, I would avenge Donald and would turn this demon to her home. I walked forward and challenged the demon. The vines moved unnaturally, making a doorway for their mistress. Smell of burnt flesh, rot and decay was in the air as the vines opened farther. A beautiful woman walked out. Her sight took away my vague will. Red eyes, horns upon her head, and a forked tail wrapped around her leg. She opened her arms and beckoned me to her. Her laugh was refreshing, and those lips begged to be kissed. Penny anchored me as she turned my face to hers. Her blue eyes broke the spell and snapped me back to reality. Bella called her a witch and said her goddess had no place here. She raised our hands and exposed the talisman. This forced the demon back as she released a blood-curdling scream. The wind picked up, howling through the dead limbs, threatening to push us away as we stood and held our ground. A ground that began to shake and quiver as a mistress of the woods retreated with a blood-curdling scream back into her home. That's when the necklace became ice cold. I mean, so cold, it was like we held the hand of death itself. As we walked forward, the vines slowly parted the ways, and our hands reached for the ladder. Her hand firmly in mine, we ascended into the treehouse. The interior was wrecked, with many pentagrams and weird symbols carved and painted with red blood in the house. The rot was almost overwhelming as the odor threatened to make us leave. And there we saw Bella standing over the Ouija board, protecting her anchor to this world. The demon's scream made our ears bleed, and claw marks became visible on our skin, having blood drip from the fresh wounds onto the floor. onto the very board itself, as Bella fell silent. The language she spoke was evil and unknown, truly the stuff of nightmares. But it did her no good. That's when a portal opened behind the demon, black, and with frigid air coming from it. A bony hand reached out and grabbed Bella. Me and Penny watched as a woman stepped out. Beautiful beyond any comparison. But only half of her was. The other half was all bones. Penny dropped to the floor and said the word mistress. She let go of the talisman and dragged me to the floor too. But what happened wasn't a fight, even though the demon did struggle. It seemed like an eternity, but was only a few seconds. The woman won the fight, throwing the demon back into the void with authority. Even the Ouija board was sucked in as the woman moved her hand. The talisman dropped to the floor as the void closed and the cold air went away. That was when the ground shook from a massive earthquake. We escaped and watched from a safe distance. The clubhouse, trees, vines, and everything else was engulfed into the ground. It left an area clear of all evidence and harm done to the land. We got together afterwards, having found someone I could trust my life with after an eternity of avoiding other people. I also converted. Seeing a goddess may do that to you. We go back every sour wind to honor her there. We always leave an offering for the Queen of Twilight. It will not bring Donald back, but I did help avenge him. Ouija board, my friends, is not a game. If you dare to play with it, get some advice first on how to close the gateway you open. You never know what you might find, and who may come through from that dark dimension. Welcome to the Shadowlands. I do hope you enjoy my story this week. If so, I have a small request. Leave me a like and subscribe if you have not already. Don't forget to share with your friends. And check out my store online, as I'll have new merchandise there to see. So until next week, beware the darkness and whatever it may hold.